John 10:10, and it says this: "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." That's my favorite verse because whether it's our enemy or sin, no matter how tempting or fun it is in the short term, it always leads to destruction. And the more you live life, the more you see that. It always leads to more emptiness and more brokenness. And I love that Jesus' mission was to come and give us life eternally by his death and resurrection, but also to give life abundantly, meaning I'm not just surviving life, I'm living life to its fullest, the way I was meant to live life, with joy and peace and risk-taking and excitement and hardship. I love that.
So mine is Colossians 12 through 15, and here it is. "Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us together in perfect harmony. And let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, you are called to live in peace and always be thankful." All right, so there it is. And the reason it's my favorite verse is it kind of just lays out how you're supposed to be as a person and as a Christian with your relationship with God, and how you're supposed to be kind and have mercy, humility, and gentleness. And that every time I kind of read it, it kind of reminds me of how I'm supposed to be acting if I'm kind of, if I have like jealousy or if I'm angry. So it kind of just reminds me of how I should be acting and how I should have God in my heart no matter what.
My favorite Bible verse is Deuteronomy 20:1 through 4. "When you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God, who brought you up out of Egypt, will be with you. When you are about to go into battle, the priest shall come forward and address the army. He shall say, 'Hear, Israel, today you are going into battle against your enemies. Do not be faint-hearted or afraid. Do not panic or be terrified by them, for the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory.'" I like that Bible verse because makes me feel like I'm not going into anything alone.
I was doing a bit of research on that, and I was thinking to myself, well, you know what? I think that Proverbs 3:6 would probably be the best one to select, because I'll just read it for you. It says, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." I believe that that is a very, very important message and a topic for discussion, because it might be a little on the broad side, but that doesn't make it any less significant, because if you think about it and what it states, it's essentially saying that if we follow what we know is right, which is the path of God, if we follow the path of God, then we are destined to find satisfaction and do great things, which is essentially, a message in every single verse that we learn, because no matter what it is, whether from the New Testament, Old Testament, it's all saying that if we follow the path of God, and as we've seen in these verses, then, we're destined to do great things. And if we don't, then, it's not going to be necessarily beneficial on our part.
My favorite Bible verse is Isaiah 41:10. It says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This just shows how, no matter what we go through in life, God's always going to be walking with us. We're going to be holding his hand, and he's going to guide us through every obstacle and everything that may seem bad, but he's always there.
Hi, my name is Allie, and my favorite Bible verse is Joel 2:25, which is, "God can restore what is broken and change into something new." What I feel like that means that at times when we feel misunderstood and misguided by things, instead of coming to God, we go to ourselves, which is not the right answer, because he has the plan and we don't. Faith comes in to the picture because that's where trust comes in. And trusting God is a really good thing to do and the best way to be a Christian. And this is my favorite Bible verse because of that. Because at times when I feel like I need that trust and I need to trust him, I listen to this Bible verse and it helps.
It is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 7. "Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things." But yeah, what I really love about it, firstly, is that you can replace love with Jesus in pretty much everywhere it says love. So, and it tells us to have patience, to stand fast in love, and endure not some things but all things for Jesus' sake. And I really like that because just whatever you're going through, you know He's going to be there for you. So, I mean, that's what I got from it. Where it says love hopes all things, it tells me love has confidence in the future and not pessimism, which a lot of us probably have right now. It hopes for the best and it hopes in God.
My favorite Bible verse comes from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16. And it says, "In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." To me, I've always liked Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 to 20, talking about the armor of God. But to me, I feel like the shield of faith is one of the most important pieces of the armor, and that is why it is one of my absolute favorite verses in the whole Bible. It's talking, just bring your faith in, trusting God, and you will be able to defend yourself between all flaming arrows, which is a metaphor for every single bad thing the evil ones will throw at you. And to go even further on to that, your shield of faith doesn't have to be an actual shield. Your shield of faith could be simply a cross necklace. It could simply be me saying, hey, there is a barrier in front of me and you cannot trespass. You cannot go through that. Another reason why it's one of my favorite is it just shows that God will do anything to protect you. It shows you His love that He has for you.
Mine is in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5. And it says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." I love that. The light shines in the darkness hasn't overcome it. We see that in Star Wars. We see that all the time. From throughout Scripture, it's completely threaded into the narrative from the beginning. In Genesis, let there be light. And we see that we're supposed to be lights, not covered up by a bowl. We're supposed to be shining. It says it here that the darkness hasn't overcome, that we are the light. It's a constant theme that's threaded. And so I love that because light implies, strength. It implies hope. It implies joy. And we're supposed to be those things as Christians. We're supposed to be the light in this dark world. We are supposed to be the ones shining the glory of Jesus. And so, in a hopeless time, we get to be that hope. We get to be that light. I love in Star Wars where it says, as long as there's light, we've got a chance. Guys, we are that light because we have Jesus in our hearts.
Probably Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the ways that he shall go, and even when he is old, he will not veer from it. I enjoy that. That's something I had on a pillow from my great-grandparents when I was little, so I always grew up with that, and knowing that as I grow up, to grow up in Scripture and to learn from it. And even when I'm old and as challenges come my way, I will still cling on to that, and it's something that I'm working on teaching my own kids, and of course, all of you guys, love you guys. So yeah, maybe Proverbs 22, verse 6.
So when I got the text from James that I was nominated for something, I thought, oh great, here we go. I'm going to open it up. It's going to be some push-up challenge, or I'm going to have to put an embarrassing photo on Instagram with the caption "until tomorrow," and then I was gonna have to get other people to do it or whatever. And I generally don't do those challenges and stuff. I mean, it's not that I can't do push-ups. I'll knock out 1,000 push-ups right now, no problem. I'm in the best shape of my life. But this one I'll actually do because it's for a good purpose, and I'm going to share my favorite Bible verse, and then I'm going to nominate somebody else. So my favorite Bible verse is Galatians 2:20. It says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So this verse has been special to me, has been probably my favorite verse since I became a Christian when I was in high school. And up until that point, I had not really gone to church. I started going to youth group and to church, and I realized that the way I had been living wasn't really, I knew there was something wrong. I knew that I wasn't satisfied with that, and so I asked Jesus to come into my heart and put my faith in him. And when I did that, I also knew that there were some things in my old life that I was going to have to put to death, so to speak, right? I was going to have to basically do away with those things. And I started to learn about how much Jesus loved me and cared for me and died for me so that I wouldn't have to be a slave to those things, to sin and to hurt and to pain, but that a life lived by faith in Jesus is a life that gives freedom. And so that verse from that day until now has been very important to me.
It's one of my favorite Bible verses is always, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. So hope everyone's doing well. Hopefully we'll get back to normal soon and see everybody soon. In the meantime, ABC, man, always be cool. Bye.